Ah, there we go. Hi there. Now I know I said I delayed it until 8:30. I really tried to get live as soon as possible. Oh yeah, here I am, way over here. You see, in the midst of all of this cast iron. Yeah. But yes, hi there, folks. Welcome once again to the first Cast Iron Wednesday of 2024. Yay! We made it through another year, and we have another year coming to get us because it's likely that 2024 is going to be a year that might put 2020 to shame, maybe. But I'm not going to get into that because you can be sure everyone else is. However, it is once again time for us to just spend some time relaxing. This is the first Wednesday of the month, and for at least the last year or so, we've made that a tradition that we do a nice cast iron Q&A session here, which is why I've gathered together. Oh, excuse me. I've gathered together some of the cast iron that I've acquired in 2023. And I guess I'm proud of myself in that most of my cast iron from 2023 can actually fit on these two trays here, in that I don't have stacks and stacks of cast iron. So I guess that certainly proves that maybe I'm actually kind of keeping my cast ironitis under control, perhaps. Hard to say so. But yes, hello everybody. Yeah, you got a little cast iron there, Andrew Bonificio. Yeah, I guess you might say there might be a little bit. I think of the last time I counted my pieces, it came up to something around maybe a little over 100 or so. And I'm really not trying to go much further than that, I think. But yes, hello everybody as well. Hello to Teresa Patterson and of course Cynthia Wesley and 4Jim44 and Papa Dan. Hello, we are here, Cindy and Dan, and Rich Qualls from Southern California. Is the sound a little fuzzy? Well, let me see. I'll try adjusting my mic maybe a little bit. Maybe that might help. But nonetheless, and hello, Rums and Kimberly Miller. Yes, and William Hurd as well. Um, I use mostly an 8 for everything I cook. Yeah, well, a number 8 size cast iron pan is probably one of the most useful pans that you could likely have. And hello, JR Finishes and Fuzz Fork 8. Yeah, Fuzzy has always been fuzzy. Yes, you should know based on your name, I guess. But yes, this is indeed a night at that time of the month, I guess you could say, where again we do some cast iron discussions because not only do I talk about my cast iron, but I'm certainly hoping that you folks can talk about yours because yeah, we have gotten through another year, and that means I would hope I'm not the only one who managed to acquire some new cast iron in 2023, because there's still a lot of it out there, even though it does seem to be a lot more popular now than it used to be. And hello, Val's Black Cats Rules. Well, enjoy your meeting night. And likewise, Eric B. Slider. Well, I'm just getting into as well, so you're really not late, I'm pleased to say. But well, what can I say? As mentioned, though, I mean, here are some of the pieces that I was lucky enough to acquire in 2023. Some of these were lucky scores. A couple of them were gifts, which I've talked about before. Actually, I don't think I've really shown off the latest one that I acquired. This was only about a couple of weeks or so ago, and this was a $10 flea market find. So it's something that I've already gotten some use out of, and so I'm quite happy to have acquired an enameled cast iron pan. Mentions it is a Descoware. So yeah, that means made in Belgium. And I like this because this is a little bit bigger than the Lady Beth's 1 quart saucepan. I'm thinking this might be, if not a 2 quart, this might be perhaps 1.5 quarts in size. But so far, I found it very useful because it's just about the right size, for instance, for making small personal amounts of rice. Not to mention that I used it for making that hot chocolate just before Christmas. So I'm actually quite happy about that. Um, And unfortunately, this thing did not come with a lid, so I actually had to quickly look around and find a lid that would fit. This lid fits almost exactly. It's just your typical lid from, oh, I don't know, from any number of saucepans that they have. Although this one does seem to have a rubber cover around it, which is a little different than ones most of them that you might find at a flea market. So, yeah, I am quite happy about this. It's a little stained on the inside. There are, I'm not sure if you would call these chips at the very bottom of the pan of the enamel. I don't think they're really chips, although I would have to say that there is a tiny bit of crazing and perhaps even scratching in this enamel. So I'm not sure how long use I will get out of this, but I will certainly find out, and I will do my best to keep, to keep it in use. And hello, Teresa Patterson scored a number two Griswold along with several BSNR pieces. Nice. Those number twos, I'm thinking those are maybe only a little bit bigger than their ashtray skillets, if I understand right. I have the lid to fit that orange pot. Really, Cynthia? Well, that's interesting. Maybe we should arrange a trade or something. Um, other than these YouTube pop-ups here. Rocket Caver, no new cast iron this week, but found a nice clay bread loaf baker with lid. But this had a mouse nest in it. Oh dear, I'm sorry to hear about that. And I guess that's a question about those clay pots. Is it possible to completely season them the way we can with cast iron, so that all of the gunk on the inside is can be completely stripped down? I'm not entirely sure. So, well, I'm not. Well, here's hoping that you manage to fully restore that. So, hello, Debbie. Late coming in, but I'm here. Yeah, I'm late too. I've only been here for a few minutes myself, Debbie. So we've only just started here. For Jim 44. Maybe should ask everyone to post their favorite cast iron user. Mine is a Griswold number 8 skillet. Yeah, that's not a bad plan. If you'd like to, go ahead. Post your favorite user here. Cast iron fanatic. I have a CHF broken diamond logo Dutch oven in the tank. Is broken diamond logo common with CHF? When you're saying broken diamond, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that, because I do have one of those diamond logo pans, which is this one here. This is a number 8 size diamond logo. If you're saying broken diamond, do you mean that there's actually a flaw in the diamond, perhaps? I would not think that that is common. I mean, that sounds like one of those errors that we see from time to time with vintage cast iron, perhaps. I mean, the number in diamond is uncommon, but not really that hard to find. Again, I really can't say the same about what you call a broken diamond. I wouldn't mind seeing a photo of that myself. So you're welcome to it. I'm not internet savvy, so I'll send Rick the pic of it and he'll send it to you. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, they're not much bigger than the ashtray skillet. Just wanted to add a number 2 to my collection. Yeah, but definitely congratulations on that as well. Yes, the point of the diamond is missing. Well, if that's the case, I would really think that might be a casting flaw more than anything else. So, I would have to say that's probably a rare occurrence, but I don't think that's the type of thing that would affect collector's value. The point of the diamond. I like different pans for different things. I use a BSR for steak and chops. I use a number 8 3-notch Lodge for pancakes and cornbread. And Papa, I'm getting new glasses. Well, congratulations. Can't wait to see again. I can only hope that, yeah, I can only hope that they come through this time. Yeah. Um, yeah, speaking of cornbread, I had actually pointed this one out maybe a couple of weeks ago, I think during the last Q&A session, and that, of course, was the butter pat that was kindly presented to me. The one that just happens to have my name on it, but was not made especially for me. That this is actually a particular model of the butter pat. This is actually a very nice size. I might say that if it's not the same size as a number 5 cast iron skillet, then it might perhaps be just a little bit more because it's a little deeper than a number 5 skillet. Also, it's just about the same in width. So actually, that would mean that this would be a superb cornbread pan as well. So I'm definitely going to. I still have yet to make cornbread in this, though, and I can only thank Louis J for his spectacular gift on that in that respect. And I'll mention the other gift that he sent, which I've also used recently, and that was the number 8 field skillet. Yes, you had mentioned as well a using a number 8 pan, and I'm certainly glad to have yet another number 8 in my collection as well. Even so, I'm doing my best to get some use out of it. The interesting thing about this, I did a short video on this field skillet here, in that even though it looks like it has a nice smooth surface, it is actually very, very fine grooved surface. So it really feels interesting in that respect. And the reason why they did this, of course, is for the seasoning to stick. And I would say that it certainly is successful for that reason. But then again, field in particular, I'd say, is really trying to be the modern day Griswold. So, in a lot of ways, maybe even they succeed. But other than that, I'd say the score that I'm probably happiest to have made this year was the Red Mountain series Dutch oven from Birmingham Stove and Range. I did this at some time or so in the spring, and I even did an unboxing of it. The nice thing about this is, well, a couple of things. One is it has an inside that is so smooth, it absolutely must have been polished on the inside, even though the polishing only seems to go maybe about halfway up or so, but it's got a nice smooth casting all around, and best of all, this is in fact one of the earliest BSR Dutch ovens, because it has the handwritten logo, and as others have pointed out, it has a very, very small pour spout, so small that you can barely see it, even though it's definitely there. And BSR did put pour spouts on all of their Dutch ovens. But if you compare this to even a later Red Mountain series pan, this is very small. So this has to be an older Red Mountain pot, and I'm quite happy to have this. It certainly complements the number 8 Griswold that I've had for like the last 10 years or so. And nice. Yeah, thank you very much, Randy Duffy. Yeah, I'm certainly glad to have it, and I'm doing my best to get used to it. I'm to use it as much as possible. Handsome Stone, I'm liking BSNR more and more. You're not the only one either. That's the thing about BSNR, probably more than any other brand of vintage cast iron. BSNR really seems to have become internet famous. I mean, quite frankly, it was one of those lost cast iron companies that nobody really knew much about. Once they went out of business in 1992, it seems as though they just faded away until the internet discovered them, and so as a result, BSR has become a lot more famous over the last 10 years or so, and it really has the internet to thank for it more than anything else, I think. Of course, the quality of BSR pans are probably a large part of the reason why, as well, they become so popular. They are definitely very, very well made. I mean, they can certainly stand up to any other pan. I mean, they may be heavier than Griswold, but they're more smooth than modern day Lodge. So I guess it's almost like a compromise in that respect. Cheesesteak currently being made in a fire damaged 3-notch lodge. Well, that's good. And I'm sorry about the fire damage though. Hello, Gary Dodson. I have a cornbread pan that I know for a fact was used to pour aluminum ingots. Is there any harm in using it for cornbread again? I would say no, because aluminum is safe. We have gone over this, not just on my channel, but on the Cast Iron Cooking Group and others, that aluminum, quite frankly, aluminum cookware is safe for cooking. And I am more than happy, for instance, to use my aluminum Dutch oven for a couple of number of uses. In particular, boiling water, making rice, and making pasta. Those are the things I use this for the most, and I'm certainly glad to be able to use it. I'm guessing you Well, if you say you know it was made for making aluminum ingots, well, that's good. And I'm presuming you probably lead tested it as well. In which case, then I would say there's nothing wrong with using it. So definitely go ahead and do so. Hmm. Dan, really understand your pain and feelings. Sorry about that. But I bet it still cooks good, handsome. I know Cindy's been through it. Terry Sinchef, I only have five number 8 pans, but one is an unmarked Wagner Dutch oven that I use for many things. Well, five number 8 pans is certainly more than enough. I will certainly say that. I was a little embarrassed earlier this year, in fact, when I did a count of my number 8s and found out that I have 15 of them. I'm not sure if that field actually made it number 16. No, I think that is still number 15. Of course, that does include a number of modern day lodge pans that really are, I have more for the collector's um, value more than anything else, even though I'm not going to sell them. And even though I'm still doing my best to try to use them, such as, for instance, last year's 2022, the lovely Walking Liberty pan, which I am becoming more and more convinced maybe one of the most beautiful Lodge cast iron pans I think they've made. And there's very few, I think, that can actually compete with this. So I do certainly hope that Lodge does produce a few more of these American coin skillets, whether it's for Cracker Barrel or themselves or otherwise. Cynthia Wesley, I'm still excited about finding my $10 Magnolite lid to match my pot. Well, congratulations on that. It's hard to see well, what type of lid is on your wok. Well, in fact, this is an aluminum lid, and this does not come from Lodge or anything like that. In fact, when I got this in 2011, so it's actually been 12 years, going on 13. Hey, it's January. Oh man, I just realized. Yes, it's actually the 13th birthday or anniversary of my cast iron wok. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do something about that. But nonetheless, this when I got that cast iron wok, I was so excited about it. I just had to go out and find a lid for it, and so I went to an online place that especially deals in wok, and it's called the Wok Shop. It's actually been years since I've been there, but I'm hoping the wok shop is still in business. But it was there that I got this aluminum lid here. So, and it fits very nicely on the wok. Um, that's a good excuse, I think, to show off the wok and especially to show something special about it. Because, yeah, here is the Lodge cast iron wok, the 14-inch one of their older Pro Logic series, which has since been discontinued. So, the nice thing about this is that this is actually how a wok lid is supposed to fit in a wok. It is actually supposed to fit about an inch or so below the rim. It is not supposed to rest on the rim because that way you'd certainly get a better seal when you put the lid on the wok. So, yet another thing on my agenda that I've got to do soon, and that is to do a good wok stir fry video. Chris McGee, I have a carbon steel wok that is supported by a steel ring that sits on the burner. I use it on my old coiled electric stove, which has been replaced with a glass top stove. Can I still use it? The answer is yes. You can use cast iron on a glass top stove. And there are many people here on the internet who will gladly agree with that. And they use their cast iron on their electric glass top stoves all the time. The thing is, of course, you do have to be careful because if you drop it, you could very well shatter the glass. And I think that's probably the biggest risk more than anything else. But in fact, at that New Year's party earlier this week, when I made some pancakes on a cast iron griddle, I supplied the griddle, and they had was a glass top stove. I put that griddle on top of two burners of that glass top stove, and it worked just fine. Made some good pancakes, which further demonstrates yes, you can use cast iron on a glass top stove. Love the walk lid. Make sure to have a drink at 9 p.m. for J.R.R. Tolkien. Birthday today. Oh, absolutely. I will certainly be glad to toast him to toast John Ronald Rural Tolkien, who has probably been one of my inspirations for at least almost the last 50 years or so. Farm Boy 762, we made rosette cookies over the holiday using the Griswold patty mold. Nice, and congratulations on that. Captain Kirk got lucky and found a number 9 Puritan Dutch oven with lid. Nice. Puritan would mean that either it's Griswold or its favorite. There are some ways to tell the difference, largely to do with the markings, if I understand right. I believe the Griswold Puritan had the similar markings and maybe even the model number that you would see in their Iron Mountain series, if I remember right. Whereas the Puritan from Favorite did have the markings of a favorite, so it might be possible to tell that. I read Lord of the Rings first time in 1977, yes, and I read The Hobbit first time in like about 1976 or so. So I know that feeling all too well. Chris McGee, you can try to use it, but I'm sorry, these stoves certainly not like a coil stove. Does Lodge still make the Pro Logic cast? I've got two number 12s that says Pat pending, and one that has the U.S. Pat date. Well, as my understanding is that sometime in the past few years, Lodge did indeed discontinue the Pro Logic series because they've been releasing all of these new series of cast iron, and I guess there's just no reason for them to continue the Pro Logic series, especially since they have been standardizing the handles on their pans now. You know how just about all of their cast iron pans now, whether they're Dutch ovens or the wok or anything like that now, they are all seem to be having the same handle that you see on the Lodge number 8 or 10-inch skillet. It's been standardized. Even the bunt pan that they release has that kind of a lid now. So the Pro Logic series doesn't fit that. That might be one reason why they discontinued it. That plus probably sales were not that great. Um, a couple of the pans in the ProLogic series, despite the fact that they were designed completely with no corners and with all rounded edges and everything, a couple of the pans in that series I don't think were designed very well. Especially those ProLogic skillets, which had the very wide and flat handles that I never seem to see in the second, in flea markets and the like. I love the wok though. I'm quite happy about that. How can you hold that wok with one hand? They are heavy. Yes, they are. I will definitely say that. If I remember right, I believe I believe I weighed this thing back when I first got it, and I think it weighs something like about 11 or 12 pounds. So I'm quite happy to be able to do this, especially since this is the hand where I suffered that wrist fracture about 3 years ago. So yeah, I'm quite happy to be able to hold this thing with one hand and have absolutely no pain whatsoever. So yes, that's something for me to celebrate, I think. No real cold weather so far. I remember going out with my wife and her folks to New Year's party some 20 years ago. It's 45 below. Hasn't been below yet, but next week, well, my understanding is that the winter weather is coming. Even here in New York, it has been late for us to get into some winter weather, but my understanding is that we've got a storm coming this weekend. So that's certainly possible that, like it or not, winter is going to be here. Good night for Jim 44 as well. You can always watch us on the replay as well. Buzz Fork 8. People whom are into cast iron cooking should go all the way and cook in the fireplace. There are some people who do cook in the fireplace. Unfortunately, I don't have a fireplace. I do have a gas stove, and I'm more than happy to cook on the gas stove. So I hope that helps. Handsome Stone would agree with Pro Logic. Dutch oven isn't bad, but their skillets leave much to be desired. Chef skillet is looking to hold on to maybe get rid of. Yes. So that is probably the reason why the Pro Logic series was discontinued. I think the Walk may have even been the best one of those. Nonetheless, there are all of these new series coming out still from Lodge. As you know, they released what they call their Chef series a couple of years ago, and then they released their Bakeware series. which I have a couple of. I received the Lodge casserole pan as a Christmas present last year. I mean, 2022, which is now, yeah, well, you know what I mean. I received that for Christmas about a year ago from my brother, and I went out and got the Lodge pie plate, and I'm also still glad to have that as well. Although those are not part of my 2023 acquisitions, which is why I'm not showing them here. There's one other piece that I did get in 2023, and I'm also quite happy to show, which I have shown a couple of times, the waffle iron. So yeah, this is is indeed something I'm quite happy to have acquired. I've been doing my best to make waffles in it, but frankly, making waffles in this thing ain't easy. It can be done, but there's definitely a trick to it. So yes, and this is, of course, is the Stover waffle iron instead of a Griswold, and I'm quite happy to own that. So those are some of the pans that I did have acquired in 2023. Hog Wild Cast Iron Restoration. Hey guys, yeah, hi. I've been seeing your TikTok videos, so you've got quite an impressive collection there. Although I understand you're doing a nice business selling them as well, which is fine. I mean, that's what you do. So Jimmy Langford, has Lodge been making the Rise and Shine Rooster skillet long, or is it new? My understanding, it's very new. I believe it may have only been released within like the last couple of months or so, because no, I've never seen it either. It's something that I personally, it doesn't really appeal that much to me, but that's just me. But folks who have gotten it, they certainly love it, of course, because it is a Lodge cast iron pan, and I certainly understand the appeal for that reason. Things like that, of course, make, well, nice Christmas presents. And Lodge has certainly been doing its best to cater to the collector's market lately. I have a Shapley. Oh, really? Made by Stover. That's interesting. I was of the impression that the only cast iron that Stover made were these waffle irons. So if there is something else, I wouldn't mind learning about it as well. What are you cooking next? Waffles or French waffles? Um, well, neither actually. I wanted to try doing this last night, but it didn't turn out right. However, I'm going to try again tomorrow. One thing I'm resolving to do in 2024 and on is I'm hoping to do a regular series of cooking viral videos, really, in cast iron, because this is something we all see every day on our feed, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, especially with the YouTube shorts now, namely these viral videos of people cooking these amazing dishes that like take about three ingredients or something, and in 5 seconds, bam, it's done, and it looks incredible. And we see these things, and we say to ourselves, "Oh man, I want to make that," and we never do. So I'm going to try to resolve to actually start cooking some of these dishes in my cast iron, both to see how they turn out and as an excuse to do more cooking, and as well as to try new things. So, did Griswold make a bigger number of camp ovens than BSR? Dan seen his first Griswold camp oven number 10 last weekend. Wasn't able to buy it. Um, I am not very familiar with Griswold camp ovens. I have seen them, but I've only seen them really in pretty much like the number 9 and the number 10 size. I've even seen a a slant logo Griswold camp oven, and even that was a number 9 size. So I'm thinking that maybe Griswold, I think maybe BSNR might have actually had more of a variety of the camp ovens, because, of course, their camp ovens go up to size 14. And, we've never seen a 14 Griswold camp oven, have we? I mean, I know that there's a number, what is it, like a 13 Dutch oven there out there, but I've never seen a Griswold 14 camp oven. And you can bet that if they ever made one, we'd be seeing it on eBay, and would probably have a price of like about $10,000 or something. So that would suggest that, I guess, Griswold probably, while they did make camp ovens, I think maybe BSNR made more of them. On the other hand, Lodge made a lot more camp ovens, of course, naturally, because they're still making them today. And we also do sometimes see camp ovens and even spiders from Martin Stove as well. Those seem to be the most popular camp ovens as far as those things go. But Lodge, I think, is probably number one with that. Cynthia Wesley, I thought it was hard also to use my waffle iron without a base. Debbie walked me right into perfection. Well, that's good to hear, Cynthia. The hardest thing about using a waffle iron without a base is the mess it makes. I mean, I make a huge mess when I use my waffle iron with a base, but without it, I'm certain that it must certainly make an even bigger mess, unfortunately. Fuzz Fork, I'm not far from the Layman hardware that deals in Amish stuff. Oh, yeah. I've actually passed by Layman once, um, and have not had the opportunity to be there again. Nice that to be that close to Layman's. Fuzz Fork. Been to the big stores here this year. I haven't even seen a wood burner for sale. Shapley was a hardware store. Oh, okay. Now that you're saying that, Huey, I'm kind of like getting a memory that I think I've seen pictures of a Shapley waffle iron at least once on the collectors groups. So, but now that you say it's a waffle iron, as I said, that kind of rings a bell. But it also confirms that really the only cast iron cookware that Stover made were those waffle irons. So the Martin number 8 is 10 and a quarter. Martin number 7 is 9 and 3/4. I love the large camp ovens. So do I, actually. It really gives me an incentive to try doing more cold cooking as well. Currently, I'm down to only one camp oven with legs, and as well, I have a BSR 12-inch spider. But I had long since given away a couple of other camp ovens that I have, but those are the only ones I have right now. Largely because, really, if I need to do cold cooking, and I kind of hope I do need to do cold cooking in 2024, I can always take my regular Dutch ovens and put them on a stand and put the coals under it. So, Debbie went down to Lehman's in 2006, spent a lot of money, looked over the wood burning cook stoves, and then only added them to my wish list. Huey Bryan, I'll make a video. Oh, that would be, yes. I mean, any video that gives us this information would be very useful. So thank you very much. And Randy Duffy, I use my Lodge camp ovens all the time. Well, yes, I do realize that cold cooking is something of an addiction in itself. Unfortunately, as I said, it's something I haven't had much time to do as it is. I barely have enough time to make these videos, it seems like. And I'm doing my best to try to keep up with that. But then that's what I get for having a full-time job. Hi, Debbie. I'm in Ohio. Ours has been buffering bad all night. I'm sorry about that, Papa Dan. Especially since I understand we're probably getting to the time for YouTube to force these commercials on us, and I'm sorry about that. No, I'm not going to stop the videos. In fact, as I said, I'm really trying to make an effort again to make more of them, because it's like I've been kind of, unfortunately, just because of my schedule, it seems like I haven't done as many of the edited videos as I would like. But that's something I want to resolve. That's why I'm going to start, as I said, as early as tomorrow night with making at least one cooking video, and then I will go from there. Pull out the BSR spider, please. Okay, I think I'll try that. So yes. Okay, let's see. It is actually down here in the corner. As a matter of fact, it's even out of shot of the video. Ugh. First, let's start with the lid. The 12-inch BSR camp oven lid. It has a tab handle, which indicates that this was actually made after they went to Dysa manufacturing, which means this has to be anywhere from 1960s to 1970s, or maybe even 1980s. But that's the lid. So after the lid, let's pull out the spider. Here we are. And here it is. A Birmingham Stove and Range spider skillet. And again, I know for a fact this is a Century Series spider because it has a very, very small number 12 on here. Tiny, tiny little thing. It doesn't have the big 12 inches or even a big 12 that the older camp ovens had. So that's why I am positive this is a Century Series spider. And the interesting thing is that if this was ever sold in an antique store, and there is no way they would say this thing dates to like the 1970s or 1980s, you would guarantee that they would probably say this is a really nice condition 19th century Civil War cowboy chuck wagon skillet. They always have to use those words when selling these things, it seems like. But regardless, I'm still quite happy with it anyway. So yes, and I definitely need an excuse to do more cooking with this. No arguments about that. By the way, it has no markings at all on the handle. It doesn't have the usual 12 that you might find in a typical 19th century spider or even in a lodge spider. So that's another indication, I think, that this is a century cookware because of the tiny, tiny little number 12 we have on this thing. Let me try to get one more shot of it. There we are. So yes, but this is a BSNR camp spider, and in fact, let's put the lid on it so that you folks can see it together. Ugh, this is heavier than the wok, quite frankly. But yes, here it is, the BSNR spider. All right, let's put this down because this is heavier than the wok. Phew. We don't mind the commercials, part of the business. Yeah, unfortunately, that it's not my choice either. YouTube forces these commercials on you, and I'm sorry about that. For those of us, Handsome Stone, for those of us in the Northeast, I'm assuming it's going to be a seasoning weekend with the snow. Yes, indeed. As I like to say, if you look out your window and you're out your front door and you see this, and you think to yourself, "Wow, today is a great day to season some cast iron," then you might have cast ironitis. So that's certainly the case. What have you cooked in your spider? Just can use outside. You can cook anything in a spider, especially those of you who know cold cooking. I've made chicken and rice in my spider. I've made brownies. I've made giant skillet cookies in them. Um, I used that spider for Christmas a couple of years ago, in fact, and in the oven, I made a tortillere, a huge 12-inch pork pie for Christmas. And I was quite happy about that. I know how my daddy was a bricklayer. I used to help him in the summer. Yeah, I would take that spider camping. Exactly. I just need 8,000 to build it. The wife's looks the same with a different handle and 12-inch on the bottom. If yours actually says 12-inch on the bottom, then you might indeed have a Red Mountain series spider, and in which case, then congratulations for you on that because those things are really rare. What's even more rare, as I've said before, is the 13-inch Red Mountain spider, of which I'm still trying to find. Nope, wrong lid. I'm definitely looking to try to find a 13-inch clang clang 13-inch spider, preferably one without the lid, so that I can use it to match this 13-inch Red Mountain camp oven lid. So, funny thing is, a couple of weeks ago on the collectors groups, somebody actually had a 13-inch spider, but it had the lid. And really, it's like, as much as I want a 13-inch spider to go with this, if I were to buy a spider plus the lid, I'd still have a spare lid. So I'm not sure what to do with that. Hmm. Handsome, you could be a recast. You could have a recast, but maybe not. I believe not all cookware was exactly the same size, even by the same manufacturer. Well, that's actually true. I mean, for instance, the BSNR camp ovens are not compatible with the BSNR skillets and Dutch ovens. Their indoor cookware was made from different patterns and different molds and did not fit their camp ovens at all. Their camp ovens and spiders had exact measurements of 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 inches, whereas the BSR skillets had much more intricate sizes, as we know. So, my buddy's grandmother in West Virginia had a wood burning stove and an old ice box. She hated electric. Don't know if she's still alive. Well, I can only hope she is. And it would be nice to at least get some pictures of that if you're lucky. Um, there is nothing that sounds sweeter than the bell of cast iron, clang, clang, clang. Except when I'm trying to put things away, and I'm hoping that it doesn't accidentally crack any of it. Fortunately, that has yet to happen. I'm glad to say, but maybe just because I'm lucky, I guess. Yeah, ditto. How many ones did you get, Cynthia? Girl, you busy. But as I mentioned, that's what I've done so far, at least for 2023. I'm also quite happy with some of the cooking that I did in 2023, most of which I did show off here on YouTube. Probably some of the highlights for cooking in 2023 was actually when I went camping. In fact, when I went to Subgenius X Day last June. And hey, that means the world is going to end again this coming June or July. I understand arrangements are being made for that, but yeah, I actually took my Bayou Classic 16-quart Dutch oven and cooked up a feast for each day for the people there, and I was quite happy about that. But let me see. That was probably one of the cooking highlights of the year, and as I said, that certainly made me happy. Um, that plus using my Poiki pot as well. And also for acquiring yet another subgenius item. And in fact, this does come from 2023. I should have displayed this as well, namely the JR Bob Dobbs cast iron skillet, which, as you can see from the bottom, I have actually been cooking with. So, yes, I'm quite happy about this. I should definitely. I'm thinking already. I have a plan for this weekend. I'm going to making a nice burger or something in that skillet as well, especially to celebrate January 6th. Okay, I better stop there. Let me explain something. I'm saying celebrating January 6th. This is not because of January 6th, 2021. This has absolutely nothing to do with that. Rather, something else happened to me on January 6th of 2023, last year, in fact, that I definitely want to celebrate. And that was on January 6th, 2023. Let's just say I had a victory in court, in that I had a case that was completely won, and I still have not given the details of that for personal reasons. Nonetheless, that is still something I'm going to celebrate. I'd say likely this coming Saturday, which is in fact going to be January 6th. So politics has nothing at all to do with that. In December, I ordered 3 large 10 and 10.25 skillets, 1 cast iron lid, plus 4 bread loaf pans. Got them all by December 30th. Oh, yeah, that's something that came out last year, and I've been sorely tempted to get as well. Namely, that Lodge has made a bigger loaf pan. Of course, if I did that, I'd have to really start baking more bread. So, gee, I wonder if I could actually manage that. Every time my furnace kicks in, some of my cast iron that's hanging up close to the register starts clanging. How do they make it? Weld pieces together or cut pieces out? I'm missing something. What is the enamel cast iron on the 2023 table? Okay, yeah, I'll say that again. This one I found only about like maybe 3 weeks ago, just before Christmas, in fact. It's a Descoware. It is European made. It comes from Belgium. As you can see, it is definitely not in pristine condition, but it is good enough for cooking because the inside is a little bit crazed, but not cracked and not chipped. I got this for $10 at one of my favorite local flea markets. So I'm quite happy about that, and I definitely intend to be getting more use out of this because enamel, you can do a lot of great things with it. It's another good rice cooker for one, and smaller than the aluminum Dutch oven, so I can cook smaller amounts of rice in it. So that certainly makes me happy. The lid, once again, did not come with this. I simply found a lid that fit. In fact, I'm thinking as well of making a trip to Goodwill or somewhere to try to find a glass lid for that. Hmm. What you say, a bigger loaf pan? Can we get it in Canada? Shadow Walker XM. If Lodge ships to Canada, then I would say yes, you can. Look on Lodge's website because it's brand new. They only released it like maybe a month or two ago. And yeah, it's definitely there. It's a bigger loaf pan. I haven't bought much anything, Cynthia. I hadn't many. Well, okay, but look at 2024. Here I come. Congratulations, Debbie, as well, and everyone. What do you all use to heat the live tanks in the winter? Aquarium equipment? Quite frankly, my live tank is sitting out there in the garage, and I'm not heating it at all. It's practically empty though. I think I have one or two pieces in it that I'm going to leave in there until the spring. And if I manage to acquire anything during the winter months, that's pretty much what I'm going to do. Put them in the live tank and leave them there until spring when it starts getting warm again. Because lye, yes, it is true. Lye works better in warm weather, which is why you mentioned heating it. But it doesn't completely stop working. It doesn't become neutral or anything like that. It just takes longer. So if that means leaving a piece in the live tank for like 2 or 3 months, then that's what I'll do. Have you had a chance to look at Lancaster cast iron? I'm lucky and only live 2 hours away and have met both owners. Great people and most like Griswold for new cast iron, in my opinion. Well, Louis J sent me a Lancaster skillet, and I had no use for it. And this was almost 2 years ago. And at that time, I had a series of cast iron giveaways here on YouTube Live, and one of them was in fact the Lancaster skillet. I'd have to look it up to see, because after 2 years I can't remember who won it. Regrettably, he doesn't seem to be a regular on this channel, which is fine. Most of the people who win these kind of giveaways usually aren't the regulars. Although I'm pleased to say that Cooking with Bobby Joe just released a pizza video. In fact, just I think it was just this morning. In fact, she had used that Red Mountain pan that she won here on this channel, that Red Mountain number 14, to make a pizza. So I'm quite happy about that. Lodge is sold at Walmart in Canada. Okay, extra lie. I break all the rules, and it does make it work better. Flies right over my head when they say it. Thanks, GI. I will check. Lye isn't going to hurt the iron or you. Yes, no, that's exactly true. These days it seems like the health nuts, and yes, I will use the term health nuts on YouTube and on the internet. Those are the ones who say basically that everything that isn't natural is toxic and poisonous and it's out to kill us all. And so, how dare we use chemicals on our cast iron when in fact everything is made of chemicals? But in particular, when it comes to lye, yes, it is a chemical, it is poisonous, and it can in fact burn if you put your hand in it on that. However, when it is used carefully, with under control, using gloves and everything like that, lye is actually a very safe and naturally occurring chemical, in that, even though yes, it does dissolve organic material and it does a very good job of it, lye is so safe that in fact when heavily diluted, it is even used in cooking and in preparation of certain foods, most famously bagels, and as others say, lutefisk too. So yes, lye is actually used as part of the cooking process. And As well, as I mentioned, lye is essentially a naturally occurring chemical that is safe for the environment, relatively speaking, in that if you dump lye out, it's not going to cause any kind of a environmental hazard or waste or anything like that. Lye is sold as a drain cleaner, and so it's meant to be poured down the drain. Unless you have a septic tank, that is. Then, of course, and you don't want to pour lye down the drain, or it could kill the natural bacteria that live in your septic tank. But in other instances, though, lye can is actually safe to use as long as you take the necessary precautions. And so, for that reason as well, one last thing as well, using lye to clean off cast iron is just fine, especially since even if there's the possibility that after you clean off your cast iron after using it in lye, if maybe there are little microscopic traces of lye in the pores, the little cracks and fissures in the surface of the iron, that's safe because at that level, lye is safe. It's food safe. It also completely dissolves in water. So there's not much of a chance that there would be any lye residue at all in your cast iron after you clean it off. So all of that really comes down to, again, it's safe to use a lye tank. I love using my lye tank for that reason. A lye tank is basically set it and forget it. Namely, that you can throw pans into the lye tank and leave them until you feel like cleaning them off, whether that's days, weeks, or even months later. So yes, and what's more, the other advantage. I mean, live versus electrolysis. Electrolysis does a great job. It can completely clean and derust a pan, and it can do it very quickly. But it does require electricity, and if you put heavy use into an electrolysis tank, that can actually affect your electric bill. Whereas on the other hand, lye, as I mentioned, is just set it and forget it. So okay. Used to make hominy too. Yes, I love hominy. Yes, exactly. So that's my little yeah, nah. So that's my little rant about lye and why lye is safe to use, despite what how some fear mongers say that it's bad to use chemicals. You know who else? But you know what? Was another thing in 2023 in late fall of 2023. Another one of those idiots started posting videos on YouTube and TikTok and everything like that. He did paid commercials essentially telling you to throw away your cast iron pans because iron ages you. And yet, and I when I told my patients to throw away their pans, their elevated iron levels came back to normal, which is all, of course, quackery nonetheless. I did a video about that. But there's another example of someone trying to scare you into just doing things that really you have no reason to because it is, in fact, completely safe. Hmm. Captain Kirk, I have 8 pieces in my lye tank now, have been there for 4 months. It's the BSNR collection that we have. She says they're too heavy. Can your lye tank freeze up during the winter if it's stored outside? Well, yes and no. I actually did, in fact, open up my lye tank in the middle of the winter when it was really cold out, and there was a thin layer of ice on top of the lye. So it seemed like the lye itself did not freeze, but there was actually, as I said, a little bit of ice. I had to break through the ice to get into it, and yeah, it was ice cold. So I really couldn't keep my hands in the gloves in that lye tank for very long. But other than that, it was fine. Mercy B, I'm listening for now because I need to get my food repackaged and in the freezer. Well, there's a good thing as well. Correct, that live freezes at 24 degrees. Well, that's what I said. It may very well have been about 24 degrees at that time. And as I said, the lye itself did not freeze. There was a very thin layer of ice on the surface, though, and it was easy to break, too. Mine has frozen every year, never had a problem. Freezing temperature will be lower. Just found a BSNR 8R pre 1930, if I'm correct. Really cold steel. Congratulations on that. If you're saying pre 1930, I'm presuming you mean it's handwritten. And it's theorized that you might be correct that the handwritten series could possibly date from 1920s to 1930s, although apparently there are no real written records to back that up. Oh, yeah, that's one other thing. Somebody, and I think it was in fact Huey, if you're still here, didn't you say that you actually found an Atlanta Stoveworks or BSNR hollowware pan that apparently predates the Red Mountain series? I had never seen that before, and I'm curious. I'd like to see some records that indicate that that is the case because I would very much like to learn about it. We'll never experience that, Papa. Might be 300 degrees in a week in unpredictable Louisiana. Well, we all have unpredictable weather, even up here in the Northeast. But yes, there is still a possibility, even down there in Louisiana, that you might very rarely get to freezing temperatures. Although I know when that happens, it becomes a statewide emergency. And we're getting on already. Nice. Okay. Don't bring a frozen pan inside. It could crack because of sudden temperature change. Well, there is that. But if you bring it inside and just let it slowly warm up, there shouldn't be a problem. So, yes, it is true that cast iron can crack with sudden temperature changes, which means don't take your frozen pan and run it under boiling hot water, for instance. But as I said, if you let it slowly warm up, then there shouldn't be a problem with that. Hi, PCIC Dubs. Am I planning to try my kettle grill in 2024? I would certainly hope so. I mean, after all, I did make the investment in that thing. And then just things got so ridiculously crazy that I didn't even have a chance to take it out of the box. But hopefully that'll be a spring project. Who knows? Maybe I'll take it with me when I go to see the eclipse. Yeah, just today I reserved a hotel room in the area of the eclipse so that I can take a little vacation, or like a 1 day vacation on April 8th of this year, for the record, April 8th, 2024, the total eclipse that will occur here in the United States. And I'm very much looking forward to having some fun watching it and hopefully recording it. Maybe I'll take the kettle grill on me then. Um, just today, I went out looking for hotel rooms in the areas of Buffalo and Erie, Pennsylvania. Both of them, it looks like they're already selling out for that weekend. So I missed out in that respect. But on the other hand, I did find a hotel room in Jamestown, New York, at an affordable price, and that is still in the area of the eclipse. Okay, so that means I don't have to go to Erie, Pennsylvania, where there are probably going to be thousands and thousands of people there anyway. But rather, all I really need to do is just go to a nice, wide open space and just set up my camera and enjoy it when it happens, which is something I'm definitely looking forward to doing. Gee, Humphrey, on New Year's Eve, I participated in a dating auction that raised $175 for a nearby charity that feeds families in need. The lodge cook raised 450. Well, congratulations in that. I'm presuming you mean that you raised 450 from food rather than actually selling off a date. At least that's my guess. Pan on the stove cracked, sounded like a gunshot while I was cooking a steak, and it was mid cook. Ouch. I'm sorry to hear that, Shadow Walker. Cold steel. On second thought, look, it's not handwritten, so now I'm thinking it was 1930 when the Red Mountain series started. Unbroken heat ring, and the ridge on the handle does not flatten at the side wall. Um, Many of them don't, all the way up to their Century Series days. One thing that BSNR experts say is that you can tell as well by the size of the pour spouts. The earliest models of BSR pans had very, very small pour spouts, such as, and I'll show it again, the this one here. This is a handwritten Dutch oven, which has a very, very small pour spout. Hard to see, in fact, and I'll turn it around this way so that it should be easier to see in the light. And that's one reason why I think this is an earlier BSNR. On the other hand, let me pull out my trusty Red Mountain skillet. And this one I'm thinking is more of a standard Red Mountain skillet. It could date anywhere from maybe the 1940s to the 1960s, which, like you said, it has a full ridge here. There is no notch, no flat space or anything like that. It has a much more standard font on it, though, and furthermore, it does have more pronounced pour spouts. So that's why I'm thinking this is more like maybe a 1940s to 1960s Red Mountain pan. I know they changed their name to Century Cookware in 1957, but continued to produce those pans with the Red Mountain markings for almost 10 years after that. And I believe over here's oh, is this the one? Yeah, this is the one. And here's another standard one as well, a Red Mountain 8G, or 3G, not 8G. This is a number 3 size, which again has that standard font as well as somewhat more pronounced pour spouts. So that's one way to tell, I think, with the early Red Mountain. I'm not trying to diss you, by the way. I mean, if it turns out you do actually have a 1920s Red Mountain, well, congratulations. I'm just trying to speak the truth. That's something that I've done. I like to think I've done all my life. And even when it comes to subjects that are controversial or that I don't like, then I would much prefer to speak the truth rather than to make something up. Earlier this year, I did a short video, for instance, about Teflon pans. Yes, Teflon pans. Only like one of those 1 minute short videos. And I said a couple of things that people didn't like. Namely, what I said was, and I will still stand by this. Teflon does not give you cancer. Teflon is not going to rot away your insides or anything like that. Teflon is not toxic. On the other hand, Teflon will in fact give off fumes that can kill house pets, like especially birds. Birds can indeed die from the fumes from Teflon. Teflon will not give you cancer. The fumes from Teflon are not poisonous. They can give you symptoms that make you feel like you're getting sick, lightheaded, nausea, and all the rest of that. But that, as far as they know, we're talking like doctors, for instance, that is not any kind of permanent poisoning, and it can, in fact, go away. You just stop using it and you will get better. And I'm saying all this just because it's the truth, not because I'm being paid for it, not because I'm trying to promote Teflon. I don't have any Teflon at all in my collection. I have no intention of using it. I love my cast iron, but it's the truth. And even with subjects like this, I would rather people just speak the truth rather than making shit up, rather than making up scare stories. Teflon is full of forever chemicals that will rot away your insides and give you cancer, and all of the rest of that, and so on and so on. So, okay, that's all I'll say about that. Terry Sinchef, if I drove 800 miles to see the total eclipse, it would be cloudy. Yeah, that's the one thing I'm worried about. It is possible that it might actually be poor weather on that day. But there might even be a weather difference between, say, Buffalo, New York, which is here, and Erie, Pennsylvania, which is here. There might indeed be a weather difference, enough of a weather difference that I may be able to choose if one of them has better weather than the other. So it's certainly possible. Does anybody believe in the so-called expert doctors these days? You know what? Let me say something right now, Fuzzfork, and this is not meant at you personally. Yes, I believe doctors these days. You know why? Because doctors are here to help people. Oh, doctors are paid off by big pharma. Doctors are people like you and me. People who have, they went through and got a college degree, and then they went and got a nice job where their business is to help people, to help sick people, to help people be better. Yes, there are corrupt doctors. Yes, there are doctors who take bribes and so on and so forth. But doctors themselves are trustworthy. And that's all I'm going to get into about that. Okay. All right. Um, okay. I did over 11 years active army with several tours, 41 month overseas. Honesty and integrity are key. Yes, exactly. I just want to tell the truth. Okay, hand scribed large ears, no lip, 8 with 3 dots pop off. I got a nice little grib during the holidays. Oh, I think you told me about this, Cynthia. Was this what they call the BSNR 8 o'clock pan? Which I do not have, but I've seen quite a few pictures of them. And it seems like they made a number of those. So it seems like that particular pattern was around for a little bit. That was the BSNR 8 o'clock pan. Let me get my number 8 back out again. That was on the Red Mountain pans. The number 8 was not here in the 6 o'clock position. It was more like on the number 8 position, so that you saw an 8 and 3 dots, and it was over here. And so, because of this, BSNR collectors call that the 8 o'clock pan. So that might be the reason why. My dogs has more diplomas than the doctors. Oh yeah. Then okay, then in that case, get yourself a different doctor. That probably means you've got a holistic doctor or something rather than a doctor with an actual degree. Okay. Cindy, not to stir up our host, but that statement needed said. Okay. I trust doctors because, correction, I trust the doctors who can be trusted. How about that? Okay. Because there are many doctors who are indeed just that. Okay. Um, all right, Sweet Huey, I think you displayed it. Okay, meanwhile, how did your fruitcake turn out? Thank you very much. The fruitcake was awesome. I did a short video on New Year's Eve showing the glaze. And that was fun in itself because at first I thought I ruined the glaze again. Those of you who've seen me making cakes, it seems to be my habit seems to be the cake turns out good and then I try to put a glaze on it and it just ruins it. The glaze is either too thick or too thin, or it looks like something that I couldn't describe because it's something out of a porn video or whatever. My record with cake glazes has been very poor. So in fact, that was the reason why I took the fruitcake with me to Pennsylvania to the New Year's bash, and along with it, I took a box of powdered sugar and a quart of milk. My intention was to make the cake glaze right there, so that if the cake glaze didn't work, I wouldn't have to put it on. And well, guess what? I ended up ruining the cake glaze. I put the sugar in, I put too much milk in, and all I got was a liquid runny glaze. So I'm thinking, oh, great. What the heck do I do now? And one of the folks there said, well, why don't you try heating it up and see if it congeals? And so I heated it up over the stove. Nothing happened. It remained soft and liquidy. But then the idea came to mind. This was also suggested, but I kind of put two and two together. You know what happened? What do you get if you take milk and sugar in equal amounts and you boil them for a long time? We're talking like an hour or so. You get caramel. And then the idea just came and it's like, hey, yeah, let's make a caramel glaze. So I took the time. It took over an hour of constant stirring, but it actually turned to caramel. Let it cool off, mix some rum in it, and we had a caramel glaze. And that's the one that you saw in that little short video a couple of days ago when I glazed the fruitcake. And they loved it. They really tore through that fruitcake too. So I'm really, really happy with how the fruitcake came out. Was your fish good? That fish was actually cooked by my friend. I've mentioned her a couple of times recently. She's been hanging out here a lot. Let's just say she says she's giving herself a nickname of Fats, Fatz. Not because she's fat, she's definitely not, but rather she's got kind of like a running joke between her and her friends. And so as a result, everybody calls her Fats. And so that's who she is. She's the one who made that fish, in fact. And yes, she used the BS. She used this pot. In fact, she used the BSR Dutch oven here, and to fry that fish up, and it turned out pretty darn good. So I'm quite happy about that. Same problem with cake glazes. Yes, indeed. You can easily find the eclipse path online. There's even a website that will calculate the percentage of the eclipse. All you have to do is put in the longitude and latitude. Have been told to put butter in glaze. Yes. Yeah, I'm still practicing my cake glazes. That's about all I can say. Any info about Remy Oliver enameled cast iron? I know nothing about Remy Oliver enameled cast iron. I would actually have to look it up. I'm sorry to say. So it's something that's beyond me, regrettably. It must be brand new, I guess. Rocket Caver, I'll be sitting in my backyard. We'll have about 4 minutes of totality. Well, congratulations. That means you're right in the path of the eclipse. And yeah, that's really all I'm looking for. Well, that and good weather. Trying to get hen scribe set. Okay. Huey, collecting gonna be as big a headache as trying to collect BSR Lady Bess. Oh, yeah. So far, and it's actually due to the generosity again. Oh, and how could I forget? I acquired these in 2023. My bad. I'm very sorry. I should have shown these off. My Lady Best pans. This one, yet again, was a gift. It's kind of, I am embarrassed with the pans I've received as gifts. Why am I embarrassed? Because I don't need more gifts. Yeah. However, I'm very, very glad to own these, especially this Lady Best 6-inch skillet, or as it says, size 6. But the Lady Best series just used exact sizes, kind of like the camp ovens do. So it is not compatible with the regular BSNR Century or Red Mountains. But nonetheless, it's a nice looking skillet. On the other hand, the other one, and this one I got off of eBay shortly after that. That is the Lady Best 1 quart saucepan. Although even though it's 1 quart, it's done in metrics, 887 millimeters, no less. Because yeah, that was the other thing in the late 1970s when they were trying to convert the country to the metric system, but unfortunately, it didn't work for most parts. But yeah, this I'm really enjoying as well. This is a great saucepan. Great for making sauces, great for melting butter. So yeah, I'm quite happy to have this Lady Best saucepan. And definitely, I can recommend a cast iron saucepan to just about anybody to get some use out of. Okay, cannot make gravy. I've been getting better at my gravy, at least. That's one thing I think I can safely say I've been improving on, and I'm quite happy about that. All right. Going on here. Found a griddle with a raised 8 on the handle. Believed it to be large, but not sure. No gate mark. Any idea? Looks the same handle as the Arch logo Lodge raised 8 skillet. Really? The raised 8. A lot of those raised 8 skillets may have actually been what they called the Southern Mystery skillet. Namely, that a lot of unknown cast iron pans with those kind of markings, including a raised number 8, uh, on have been found over the last for decades really, and they mostly seem to be in the American South. One thing you could do with that raised 8 is compare it to a Lodge 10-inch skillet, modern or otherwise. Lodge has been using the same size cast iron pans for their entire history, and it's amazing like that. Namely, that the very oldest Lodge lids will fit modern day Lodge pans and vice versa. If you find yourself an old 3-notch Lodge skillet or even an old Lodge one-notch skillet. You can get a modern day Lodge lid and it'll fit. On the other hand, if you take that pan that you're talking about with that raised number 8, try putting a Lodge lid on it. If it fits, you've got a Lodge. If it doesn't fit, then it's a Southern Mystery skillet. Maybe that helps. That's the best I could say, I think. Oh, wait a second, it's a griddle. It's not a skillet. My apologies, Captain Kirk. I didn't even read that. It's a griddle. Sorry about that. um you might want to look on the collectors groups, especially on Facebook. They might be able to give you more information about it then. Do you have any complete sets, such as 3S, 5S, 7S, or a complete line of skillets or Dutch ovens? No, I do not. I seem to have a little bit of everything, but all of my collections are missing something. I have a 3S and I have a 7S. I do not have a 5S. There are even rumors of an 8S, but I don't think they've been confirmed. But I have not yet found a 5S. I would like a 5S. Maybe I'll find one of these days. But I don't really have complete sets of anything. Not Red Mountain, not Century, not even the Cracker Barrel series. I just have, as I said, a little bit of everything. And quite frankly, I'm content with that. I'm not so much of an obsessed perfectionist. I feel like I have to get everything. Interestingly enough, about the only series I seem to have all of it is the Star Wars pancake skillets. I went over that last month as well, that they did not produce any more Star Wars pans this year. So it seems like they made 4 of them, and then so far, anyway, they have not made any more. But that's about the extent of my collections, I'm afraid. I don't have any complete sets, but I'm happy with what I have. Hope that helps. Do you have a Griswold 411? I am certain I do not. I do have several Griswold skillets, but I don't have anything with that marking on it. So I would say no. What I do have, and this was definitely not from last year. This was one of my very first finds. Let me find it. Where is it? It's not over here. Then, oh yeah, here it is, way in the corner. What I do have is a Griswold 704J, which is the Erie skillet. So yeah, this was one of my very first finds, in fact. I found this in 2011, and I'm quite happy to use it. It is a spinner, yes, but still works just fine for whatever that's worth. Yeah, and it's yet another one of my number 8s that I have, like I said, 15 number 8s. Okay. Oh, it's a griddle. Okay. Um, love your live streams. Well, thank you very much, Cold Steel. I don't know what to call it, Rick D. Yeah, actually, I'm thinking we're starting to get into time here. Yeah. Welcome to the little bit of everything club. He doesn't have a complete set either. Yeah, exactly. And even though I was bit by the cast iron bug, I'm glad I don't have the OCD. Got to get a complete set bug. Because as I said, I'm doing my best to try to rotate through my collection and not having much success as it is. But I'll keep on cooking. And as I said in the beginning, that's one of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel, to have excuses to cook, which is something I'm going to be doing tomorrow night and hopefully from now on, or continue from doing it rather, because I very much enjoy doing it. And I think that's really where I can end this, because this is pretty much what I say every week as well. All I know is I keep wearing you and Pop Pop saying, "What is this?" But yeah, I mean, I've been saying this every week, namely that I enjoy doing all these videos on my channel here because it gives me a great excuse to use so many of these pans that I've acquired over the past 12, 13 years now. God, it's going to be 13 years. 13, yes, 13 years, lucky 13. So, but all I can do is keep on cooking because it's a lot of fun. It gives me an excuse to use these things, and it also gives me an excuse to interact with all of you folks, because that's where we are again. namely that I love doing these videos here and especially these live videos because of you. It's always your comments here that really pass the time and make it interesting. I mean, because I like doing all of this live stuff, as I said, just would not be the same if you folks weren't here. And I can only thank you so much for that. So thank you very much for your time, everybody. Hello, Thinks No as well. And Shadow Walker XM and Cast Iron Fanatic, Captain Kirk, JC904 UBC. Thank you. And have a good week. Yes, have a good week for you too as well. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for showing up here for the for the first Cast Iron Wednesday of 2024. Only 51 more to go. And I'll do my best to try to keep them on time too. While occasionally work may delay it, I'll work around that as best as I can. But thank you very much, everybody. And thank you very much for showing up and have fun and keep safe as always because 2024 is here. And like I said, it's going to be a crazy year. So let's do our best to survive it, okay? And then especially above all else, have fun and keep cooking. So thank you, everybody. And thank you very much for your time. And I can only say again what I end these things every time. See you next Wednesday.